on the road and call the meeting to order. And there are 5 present out of 7. And we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I have one more trivia fact about the pledge. Up until 1942, people could address the flag like a salute, or they could address the flag like that. Well, in the 40s,
what?
Like that. Really? In the 40s, it became apparent that Hitler was taking over Europe, and this sort of in America became politically incorrect.
You think?
Well, thank goodness.
So in 1942, they just deemed that we place our right hand over our heart to say the pledge.
Huh.
So there. And I don't think I've got anything else about the pledge, so I don't know what I'm going to tell you next month.
Figuring your dictatorships are probably not putting their hands over their hearts.
Yeah.
To be a safe
Well,
one.
you know, you could also be fined substantially or thrown in prison for defecating the flag in any manner. So if you burn it, trample it, urinate on it.
Desecrating the flag.
Yeah. Sorry, I said the wrong word. But you can be thrown in prison for it, and yet we don't. It's amazing.
It is
Yep.
amazing.
It is. It is how they choose to not enforce that.
I know.
Because the people who are enforcing aren't respecting.
We need a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, same sign, 5-0. And we have a consent agenda, 1 item on it, and
I added an MOU with Baker University.
oh, that's right. I don't have it on
Sorry.
this one. That's right. I have an old agenda. So, and everyone's had time to look that over. Are there any questions about the consent agenda? If not, I need a motion to approve it.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign, 5-0. Okay. No comments, so MTSS.
And you add some country music to it, you know, and
Make it a little flashy.
yeah.
So what I want to do this evening is just give you a little update, and then we'll have a mid-year report. I think that is in January or February. But what I want to update you on this evening, okay, getting close right there. We have 2 flow charts, discipline flow charts that define major and minor behaviors. Minor behaviors are behaviors that teachers manage, and major behaviors are behaviors that are sent to the office. I also had a document on here that was really the work that the buildings went through. Brittany was part of that. That they went through last year with the KU Arizona State University study to define what the major and minor behaviors were. And they did it by building, and then they came together in middle school and high school, defined theirs together, and the elementaries defined one set of standards for all 3 elementaries. We're really trying to align our expectations for behaviors K-12. So this is the biggest part, or one of the biggest parts of our MTSS process. We started implementing this last year, little by little. We've done some in-service training, and so this year it's really become a part of what we do. So this is a really important piece of our MTSS process. We have a number of things we do for positive behavior. We're working on doing a lot of phone calls home for positive behaviors, and that's been a really great thing. Parents aren't afraid when they see the school phone number come up so much anymore, and we've heard lots of really good things about that. We have a ticket system at the elementary and middle school where kids can get tickets and they get recognized for, respectful behavior and all of those kind of things that we're trying to teach. At the elementary level, we are in our second year of Second Step, which is our social emotional curriculum. And that has lessons with character education such as respect, honesty, integrity, learning how to get along with others, listening respectful to others without always agreeing, those kind of things, and self-regulation behaviors. So when kids get angry and upset, we're teaching them ways to calm themselves down and so on. So we're at the very beginning of that. So we haven't seen a lot of change in terms of behaviors yet. It'll take us a while to get there. We're new at this, and it's very new for our kids, and it's going to take a while to teach those behaviors. And so this is sort of the very beginning process. Another part of this is we began the alternative program at the high school. I call it the Rob Hedrick program because he's heading that up. This time last year we had 5 or 6 long-term suspensions already. This year we have 0. We have 5 kids in that program who were getting close to long-term suspension. We put them in Rob's program. I talked to him on Friday, and he said it's going really well. His job is to teach the behaviors that are expected in school, in the classroom, but yet those kids are not in the regular classroom being disruptive. They're still learning their academic skills and so on. So we have a ways to go, but I think we've had a good start. On a different, well, it's really on the same, along the same lines. Last year we did a full year of the Kansas MTSS project, and at the end, in May, that was the end of the project. And it was part of our plan to continue with MTSS, but the actual project was over. So as I visited with teachers and principals, and we learned that MTSS had this whole big, 5 or 6 day training that we were going to be required to do that included reading and math, we decided we weren't going to do it. So we've pulled away from that. And we're looking for some training, really good training, Randy Sprick, Champs, that kind of training to do instead of the MTSS.
For behavior?
For behavior. We want to stick with behavior. We feel like we have reading and math down really well. We've had great results, and we don't want to turn our attention away from behavior. So that's where we are with MTSS. Questions that you have?
For the kids that are on whichever level, elementary, middle, or high, what is the response to a kid that you're explaining what needs to be done, and they're going to the office multiple times? I mean, what if someone in an elementary school, they deem, it was a major problem, they're sent to the principal's office, what is that outcome for them?
It depends on the kid. It depends on the kid's plan. It depends on the school. We have a number of kids who have behavior plans in every classroom, and so on. Sometimes kids are sent to the principal's office or the counselor's office to calm down, and there are a number of ways they can do that. I know last year at Garfield we had one kid in particular who would have outbursts and be really disruptive, and they were able to teach him some behaviors that he could feel that coming on, and so he would go to the principal's office and he would quietly listen to music until he calmed down. So it depends on the student. It depends on what their behavior plan is and what their goals are. We have a behavior specialist here, Nicole, and she works with teachers and with principals with regards to plans. So it depends.
Is there anything in place to double check that when a child is going repeatedly that something changes? In other words, just repeating the same thing and it's not working?
It's part of their plan, and those plans are reviewed on a regular basis. with Nicole and school psychologists and so on. So those plans are reviewed. Teachers keep data, or they're supposed to keep data, and principals keep data in terms of how often those kids come and what kind of infraction they've come for.
Have you had any instances where teachers or administrators have had to use physical restraint on a child yet this year?
Yes, we have. Mm-hmm. And the physical restraint laws have changed yet again, and it just makes it very difficult. So last year we had some problems. We had at Lincoln, we had some kids that would have hurt themselves had they not been restrained. And so we document that. We make sure the state has that information, make sure parents have that information, and so on. It happened at Eugene, probably every school except the high school. But when little kids are starting to run away or hurt somebody, if you grab them and try to prevent that, that's restraint, and we have to report that.
If a child is admitted to the BEST program,
Mm-hmm.
do they have to have an IEP
Yes.
to go there?
Yes.
And they can't go there without an
Well,
IEP?
They go there with a behavior plan. Almost all our kids in BEST have an IEP. I believe all the ones, would that be correct, that are in there now have an IEP? Under evaluation. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not the case with our alternative program at the high school.
Okay.
We'd like to have a program at the elementary level where it's not to that extent where they have an IEP for behavior, because we have a number of little ones that have behaviors that are significant, that they need to be away from the classroom and work their way back to the classroom.
And,
So
and we don't have that yet.
we don't have that yet.
That would be really nice, because those little guys aren't on IEPs for quite some time.
Exactly right. Exactly right. Yes. And it's very difficult to get a 5-year-old tested and all of that. And it's just difficult because they're so young.
So something to strive for.
Something to strive for once we have some spaces to do that.
You know, I asked the same question with Tim the other day, and because I do think, discipline and behavior is important to the whole
Sure it
class and school learning. And I understand bus is a little bit different when I say it's right versus privilege, but I do think that it's great you have a discipline plan because, or at least, I mean, everybody has one, but at least we're making a focus on it now. Because I do think it affects the entire learning
Sure it does.
of the whole class when you have a disruptive
Absolutely.
child, you know, and it is counterproductive.
Yep.
If we have situations, should we bring that up to you? I mean, rather than in an open forum here, obviously discipline is what I should say, somewhat confidential
Sure.
discussion. Is that right?
Right. Right.
So the proper procedure is bring it up to you, and then you deal with it, and we don't violate any
Yep.
by having a discussion in public forum. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to
Because
make sure
yep.
what the,
It's an identifiable individual, so
Yeah.
that wouldn't
What's
be
that?
good.
If
It
it's-
would be an identifiable individual.
yes, that's
So-
what we call it now, isn't it?
Yes.
This would be
So-
identifying an individual that even Tim would know. So,
There you go.
So,
Might be
yeah,
Tim.
so we will,
We will discuss
And
that.
that we won't discuss anything, will we?
And at any time, any board member can request an executive session.
Right.
So,
Okay. Okay.
So
just for the record. Dr. Stroh, who monitors the academic progress of the kids in BEST and Mr. Hedrick's class?
They're tested with the same assessments that all our other kids are assessed.
But I'm talking in terms of just their grades for
Their grades.
their school year.
They
Monitors that.
Yeah, they still belong to the school that they go to. So, for example, in Mr. Hedrick's class, 3 of our kiddos there are middle schoolers. And so Derek and Austin will monitor that. They'll make sure that they have the work to do and so on. For our 2 high school students, then Dr. Cobbs and Mr. Lane monitor that and make sure that they have work and so on. And for our kids at best, the elementary principals monitor that.
Okay. So it's monitored by the administrative staff.
Yes.
For the kids to be in BEST or the high school program, there are certain criteria that they need to meet. Is there also criteria that they meet in order to then go back to the regular classroom?
Yes. Yes. Now, when we talk about BEST, that would be the program at the high school would be TAP.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because those kids are identified as behavior, and they have behavior goals on their IEPs. So those two programs would be parallel. Okay. The alternate program, Rob's program at the high school, is a little bit different because those kids are kids that don't necessarily have an IEP, certainly don't have behavior goals and those kinds of things. Those are your typical kids who just mess around and, keep gaining points until they get pretty close. And so that's our way to sort of mitigate that and say, you stop doing the point thing and get some intensive help. So that program is a little bit different. They have a prescribed, when they go into that program, they have a prescribed time that they will stay there, what they will do, how they'll work their way back. And to an extent, that's true with a BEST program, but they're monitored so that as they meet certain goals, then, for example, we have a student who was in the BEST program for a period of time last year, and as the student came back this year, some behaviors had changed and so on, and so that student is working his way back into the elementary school. He spends, first I think it was an hour, and then it was an hour and a half, and so on, to see, can they maintain those behaviors when they're back in the building, and if they can't, then they come back to the BEST program. We have some students who just aren't going to be able to function in the classroom, unfortunately. So,
Okay.
any other questions that you have? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any board reports?
I just want to remind everybody that the Swan Arts opening is Thursday at 5:30 is the ribbon cutting, and it's open for families. And I think that they're just in the beginning stages, but I think they could be a wonderful partner for the kids in the community. So,
And we had
That's
the
exciting.
city-county USD290 luncheon last Wednesday. That's always productive and informative. So you were there, Brittany was there, as was I. So
And tennis doubles, team doubles, 1 second. Just saying.
there, just saying.
Yes, we drove to Parsons twice and did very badly, so I'm glad they did well here. It's
Good.
wearing me out being on the road. Don't let your kids do golf or tennis. It's too far away.
Yeah.
Any chance to use that land on the west side of the middle school for tennis courts?
I know.
West side.
Of the middle school, on the other side of that, the facilities building, there's a big chunk
Oh,
of
there
land
is.
there. It'd be a
Oh,
great
yeah.
spot for tennis
Yeah.
courts. They could
Oh.
park in the middle school.
No doubt we need some conditional use permit.
Yeah. Oh, my.
Always something.
Yeah, I don't know, we haven't considered that. I think OU is building new tennis courts, and so,
They were talking about that 3 years ago.
were they?
Nice
Yeah.
if the middle and high could use them
Yeah, it
right
would
there.
be.
And it's been a while since the city redid the Forest Park tennis
Yeah.
courts, but they did kind of do that for us. And
We gave them new nets,
yeah,
and they didn't put them up before this meet.
Oh.
It kind of irritates
Well, as
me.
it gets dark and you've got some young girls up there playing tennis, be nice if they were at the school, on school grounds.
so we need no executive session we have no bids, we have no negotiations. We don't need executive session for personnel, but we do need to approve the personnel report.
So moved?
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? If not, all in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, same sign. It's 6-0 this time. And are there announcements?
Yes, I have quite a few announcements. We're today, tomorrow, and Wednesday going through our accreditation visit. As you know, we have a fantastic team. Today was a really excellent day. This afternoon, our team interviewed principals and directors and Dr. Kraus and Mr. Grell and Mr. Ray, and then also interviewed teachers at 3:30, and then community members and parents at 4:15. And then they're working in our large conference room tonight. So it's been a big deal. We've done a lot of work the last 2 years for this, so it'll be fun and interesting to see and hear what they have to say on Wednesday. We have a special, and tomorrow they'll be in classrooms all day at all 5 of our schools, and then they'll talk with me tomorrow afternoon, debrief with principals and so on, and then work here all day on Wednesday, and then we'll have a special board meeting at 3:30 on Wednesday afternoon, and they'll give their exit report. So it'll be exciting to see what things they found that were standouts and what kinds of things that we need to continue to improve on. And then, as you know, we have a special board meeting. The actual accreditation portion is from 3:30 to 4, and then from 4 to 5:30 we'll talk about the bond project, and that agenda has already been published. So I think we'll talk about phasing and bids and a couple other things on that. And then the city planning work session is this Wednesday at noon. And so Dr. Cobbs and Randy Flowers and I think it's David Kontag from DLR will all be there to listen. We won't have any presentations, but we need to get a sense of what questions they're going to ask and where they'll be and so on. And then the 14th of October is the public hearing. I sent you that public hearing notice. It'll be at 7 o'clock in the evening. Unfortunately, that's the exact same time as our KU Honors Banquet at the high school. But I'll be there, and you're certainly welcome to go to that hearing on the 14th at City Hall. We should have a pretty good idea then. I don't see any problems. I think that DLR has done a fantastic job getting all the information they've asked for. But it'll just be another interesting part of the whole process. This Wednesday is First Friday, or this Wednesday, I'm a little tired. This Friday is First Friday, 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock at Neosho County Community College. And I think that's all I have. Harold will Skype you in on Wednesday.
Yes. Okay.
Kim,
For both?
yeah.
Okay, good.
Kim Sipple will set you up. We'll have a computer right there and right in your seat or on your table,
Bam.
and it'll be like you're really here.
Really here. There you go.
Your head left or right?
Linda will have to turn your computer.
You'll be like, hand me to the left.
I don't know if you're a Big Bang fan, but
Okay, okay. Very good.
Or Modern Family when he came in on the robotic.
Yeah. So we'll get that set up. So we'll have to do that probably a little early. We'll start right at 3:30. So
Okay.
Kim
I'll try
Sipple will email you and get you.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Because I don't know how to do that. That's all I have.
Anybody have anything else?
Go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
Exactly right. Look at that.
Are they
25
like
minutes.
playing or
I know, they're just now
Yeah.
starting.
Just now starting.
I
Okay.
bet they've got a
I think it's
national anthem
Bill's
or
problem
something.
why our meetings
Unless they
run
have
so
somebody on the
long.
fantasy team, I don't care.
Well, if we're going to
is.
go, I need
They
a
have
motion
somebody
to
on the
adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor, raise your right hand.
Yo.
All opposed, same sign. Okay.
And if you want to fill this out and give it to
Text my wife and
Melissa,
say I can pick
either
my daughter.
now or